Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to do our round 5 review, round 5 preview even, for the 2024 NRL SuperCoach season. So as per usual, we'll kick off by having a look at the most popular trade in, trade out options. So we'll go with the trade outs first. So number one, we've got Tane Tuapiki, so obviously out injured. Yeah, still got him as a head knock, but Charles Nickel Clockstad coming back into the team this week, so I think he's a pretty comfortable sell, particularly given the centre wing options that we have this week. Ben Travojevic at number 2, so I guess a lot of people scared off by the Penrith matchup and I guess the stalling in his cash gen, but probably one I'd suggest trying to hold. I think you're not getting a lot of value from selling him. He's only made 33k. So I guess like for me, I've moved him into my second row and sort of treating it a bit more like a slow burn, because I think the upside will be there eventually. We just got to give him a bit of time. He's only played a few first grade games in the starting lineup, so it could take a little while. Number 3, Luke Metcalf, so obvious sell out with the broken leg. So, unfortunately we have to sell him. Taylor May, I think, is a massive mistake. Everyone's sort of saying, well, he's not making money, and admittedly Penrith are, sort of targeting the right edge a lot more. But I think, his time will come where he will spike up in price. I'm hoping it's not this week against Manly, because I'm super keen on getting him in after his bye in round 6. So hopefully, his price doesn't go up too much this week, and then we can pounce. Brendan Piakura, so a tricky one. I mean, if you've got him and you've held him, it may be worthwhile just holding still. Obviously, there is some options in the second row, and I guess as well in the centres if you wanted to sort of use your swings like Burbo, Jamin Salmon. So yeah, I guess I traded last week, so I can't begrudge anyone, but I think he will sort of offer a bit of value when he does return. Zach Hosking out injured this week, so he's made 100k, and probably his price has peaked, so I would look to move on. You don't really know what the story is with him and Whitehead being constantly injured. So, I'd be happy to get out of that pick this week. Jamin Salmon, so I guess another one that, really hasn't offered a lot of value along the lines of Ben Travojevic. But I think the difference with Burbo is he probably offers a little bit more in terms of the attacking stats like tries. Jamin Salmon really is more of that ball playing lock. But unlike an Isaiah Yeo, probably doesn't have the minutes to sort of rack up the points. So I guess if I had to choose between the two, I'd go with Salmon, but I know Travojevic is more popular and more highly owned. Nathan Cleary, so I think, if you've got him, you hold. He will be back after the bye. If you're in a situation where you've got Hines and that, I can understand wanting to get out of the pick. But, I guess it's going to cost you 2 trades, so you've really got to weigh up how much you think the 2 trades is worth. Zach Laybut, so I guess, one that people got a bit hyped about and then he flopped, but he's got the Titans this week, so I would hold. Hopefully he can, get another couple of tries and pump his average up, and then, you can hold him for a couple more weeks. And then also the Cowboys do cover that first set of buys in the Origin. So I think, he might be worth a hold up until that point. Jacob Gagai, so I guess with Alex Johnson out and not being named in the team, a few people have given up on him, particularly given you can sideways him to who I believe would be the most popular traded in option, Blaze Talangi. So I think this one's a no-brainer. Get him in this week. He's playing in the halves, so offers line break and try assist, that sort of thing. But yeah, pretty hyped up by the Eels fans too. So I think he can comfortably get on board. Kai Pierce Paul, so has now got that 80-minute role on the edge, is making some money. Um, so I think this could be the last week to get on before his price and I guess value gets away, unless you believe he's a season-long keeper. Um, and I guess we'll have to have a bit of a look over the next few weeks to determine that. Justin Olam. So I guess if you've already gone Talangi, he offers good value. He's got a negative break even this week, I'm pretty sure. Um, and I guess the attacking style of the Tigers really suits. Might just be mindful that with Galvin out, that he might not be getting as good a service as what he's been getting the last couple of weeks. Um, but again, if you wanted to keep him for the longest time, that would be fine. Uh, the hammer at number 4. So I think if you treat him as a keeper, you could still bring him in. But as you can see, he jumped up 90k. So last week was the week to get on. Probably doesn't offer as much value now, but I've got him in my team, so I can understand why people would want to bring him in. But I guess if you've already got Olam and Talangi, then perhaps you could bring in the hammer in the centre wing. Jackson Ford. So I put him as the trap. Not to say that it's a bad pick, just that there's no value in the pick. He jumped up 56k last week. He's not going to score that 100 every week. You've missed that 100 that he's scored. So you will get like a solid 50 to 60 in base. But yeah, that's really about it. So I don't think there's value in that pick. I'd rather Kai Pierce Paul. Um, if you've already got him and you wanted to, sort of shore up your second row, it's a bit sketchy like mine, then perhaps, Ford could be an option, but I think there is probably better options. Although I cannot think of any of them off the top of my head. Jack Bostock, I think, his sort of value has diminished greatly. He will make some money this week against the Tigers. But I guess in saying that, my plan is to flip him in a couple of weeks for Taylor May, all going to plan. And if you could have told me at the start of the season that you could trade Bostock for May and pretty much break even, I would lock that trade in every day of the week. Ryan Pappenhausen, so yeah, bring him in before his cash, sorry, his price, gets way up there. He has already increased 45k, but we'll have that big score for the next 2 weeks in his average, so should make some good money. In saying that, I wouldn't trade him in for the likes of a Tommy Turbo. I know he's been a sort of popular option. Not that he featured in the top 10, but yeah, I'd find a different avenue to bring in Pappenhausen because we all know what Turbo's capable of. Tom Flegler, so yep, I've got him in my sports deck team, and loving that. If I could find a way to get him into my SuperCoach team, I probably would. But yeah, at the moment I just don't quite have it. But yeah, great pick if you wanted a front rower to bring into your team. Sean Johnson, so the most popular trade-in option, I'm guessing for Cleary, based on the trade outs. Um, I guess probably the advantage here is that he has sort of bottomed out in price. And what I'd imagine is if you're bringing in Sean Johnson, you'd want to hold him through into the Origin period, and then bring back Cleary after Origin. So then the question is, well, in that time, with Cleary getting 2 weeks off, will Johnson outscore him? Potentially, that might be the case. Tom Dearden at the most popular trade-in for 5'8". Obviously, if you've got Metcalf, that's a no-brainer. Um, the Titans this week is a great matchup. Um, and with Cam Munster back, you'd imagine that he's also going to be available during that first Origin period, which will be quite handy along with all the other Cowboys players. Um, so yeah, I do like that as a trading option. So, captains, I was about to go to my team, but we will look at the captaincies and maybe we'll go top 10%. No, we're still pretty early in the season. Let's go all coaches still. So, most popular captain this week, Kalen Ponga against the Dragons. Makes sense, they are at home. I forget when they play it, and it doesn't show up on here. But I do think it's a bit later in the round, so that's sort of the option where you want to take that. Val Holmes against the Titans. So this was a successful strategy for those who went the hammer. The sort of attacking gun against the Titans. He does kick goals, which gives him a bit more of a solid base. Um, so I do like it. I'm usually not a fan of captaining centre wingers, but if I had Val Holmes, I would be very tempted this week. So the hammer against the Titans. So I guess maybe a few people still got the C on him from last week. Um, and yeah, he could go all right against the Titans, but if I was going to centre winger, I'd probably go Holmes. I probably wouldn't go the hammer this week, but good luck to you. James Tedesco against the Bulldogs. This could be anything. Um, as much as I don't want to sort of admit that as a Dogs fan, but yeah, I think great shout for captaincy. Or I think if you can get him as a VC and loop someone in, particularly if you've got no halfback like myself, that could work. Tommy Turbo, so I guess any time, anywhere when it comes to Turbo for the captaincy. Against Penrith is a big call, but yeah, I guess if it came off, then you'd be absolutely cheering. No, 4% still on Nathan Cleary, so not sure what's going on there. Obviously, players that aren't really playing at the moment, so hopefully that fixes up. Um, Paps against the Broncos. So for those who like a straight C on a Thursday night, could be an option. But I think if you can somehow swing the VC, obviously if you've got Tedesco and Pappenhausen like myself, you do have to make a choice. Excuse me there. Nico Hines is captain. As you can see, it's probably a bit like myself, just haven't changed it yet. Um, but he could end up being a captaincy option if your vice captain goes off. Scotty Drinkwater again against the Titans is a nice option as captain, and Latrell against the Warriors I don't hate as an option. You can see Appy Coruscant there as well. RTS probably now he's back in the centres can not be a part of this conversation. And on the vice captaincy list, so a lot of the same names. Harry Grant, popular one tonight against the Broncos. Luke Brooks against Penrith, that's bold. I'm guessing maybe that's a bit more from last week. Dom Young, so I suppose if you've got him as your gun centre winger, you could take him on a flyer against the Dogs. And Fanua Blake against South. So again, if he goes off, then you have that capability of taking that score. All right, so in terms of my trades this week, so we'll get the obvious one out of the way first, which is Tua Picky out and Talangi in. There he is. So it gives us 133.5k to spend. So we do have a couple of different options. So the first one that I guess I am leaning towards is fading one of Salmon and Travojevic. And just given that I've got, quite a few Bulldogs players in the squad currently, I think for me it's better off getting out of Salmon and bringing in Kai Pierce Paul. So, you know, KPP will make money a bit quicker than Salmon, is the sort of theory behind this. Plus, I do have to start moving some of the Dogs players off the team before their buy in round 9. I think in SuperCoach you can cover carrying a few more of these guys, because you've got the biggest squad with 25 players. Um, so the advantage of carrying, a few of the Bulldogs players is they do have really good Origin buy coverage, um, along with the Dolphins. So I've already got the Hammer and Bostock, although he's probably not long for my team. But I guess looking at getting the likes of maybe a Marshall King into my second hooker spot, Tom Flegler, I would love to find a way to get him into the team. So being able to do that, um, as, as in the front row, would be really good. Um, but it's just one of those things. So if I was going to do two trades, that's how we would do it. But I guess we could also look at an option of where we use a third boost, which I guess isn't ideal, but um, I guess the plan was always to try and use a third one, sort of in the lead up to the first Origin. Um, I guess if I just use it now, I just have to be a bit more careful with buy planning for that first one, and then the last two will sort of be to really target that round 16, round 19 sort of area. But what I was thinking, if we use the boost, we could get super exotic. So I know I've been a big fan of not trading, but we could get out of Cleary for a couple of weeks. And, you could do a Sean Johnson who's not on the list that way. So, you could have that option, and that frees up a few hundred K, which would allow something like Sam Hughes out, who was sort of our auto emergency issue, to get in Tom Flagler. So obviously, our front row is a bit stacked at the moment, but we can sort of shuffle Cotter down here. We could look at a dual position option down the track. So that would get Tom Flegler in, which is what we're sort of after. I guess the issue with that, and this is probably something I didn't think of with the Hammer, but we talked about the Bulldogs, Dolphins having that good buy coverage. The Origin players are actually going to have terrible coverage. So Flegler and Hammer, are going to be the most useful for our team during the Origin period, because they'll miss the 3 games during Origin that the Dolphins will be playing. So that's one option. The other option that we have, because of our DPP, is we can shuffle Hutchinson into this what's it called? The halfback spot. Took me way too long to work that out. Um, and I guess if we think that Chan is a bit of a dead rookie, we can look at some options in the second row. So again, this could be the opening to get Cotter into the second row and bring in a Flagler. But we could also look at some options like, if we go by break even. Actually, we don't even need to go by break even. We can go by average is what I actually wanted. Let's have a look. So, probably just going through quickly, like Val Holmes would be great this week and leading up to Origin, but then would be, a trade out through the Origin period. Tungo, probably just, has peaked in price, I feel, so no value in that pick. Ronaldo's on the buy, but, not worried. Garrick, we could, not against Penrith. Um, Lomax has been in okay form, but not that keen. Isaiah Yeo would be obviously great to have, but would be a trade out during Origin. So someone like a Jermaine Hopgood is interesting. So we could bring him in. Now he would be on the fringes of the Origin team though, so that would be something to keep in mind. Um, and so then we've got under 500k, so we could do something like bring in a Justin Olam and bank that quick cash. Or if we really believe in the pick, we could go to a Taylor May. but we'll have to find him on the list first. I forget his break even. Did pretty well to find it. So we could do something like that as well. Um, so I guess, trading out Cleary does give us those options, but then we also have to have a plan to get him back in. So even if it was just a straight trade of Hutchinson out, who has a good break even, so could get close to 450. We still got to find 400k somewhere, and there's not a lot of expendable options. Maybe it is the hammer that exits the team pre-Origin, um, that sort of thing. Because what's his break even? -1. So yeah, so you imagine the next couple of weeks his price would peak, and we can maybe get close to Cleary that way. So if I just reverse, and we'll have to think about what it is we actually want to do. So I guess this is sort of the awkward bit of not coming up with a plan. Is the video does get a bit long-winded, but I guess as well, this is why we do the videos, is to think through the ideas and talk them out loud. So it's not as crazy as talking to yourself, even though that's exactly what you're doing. You're talking at a computer screen. So what do we do? I guess the more I looked at that, the more I was there for the Cleary trade. But do I really want to use the boost? You know what? Let's go it. Fortune favours the brave. So Cleary out, Hutchinson in the halves. So we'll bring Olam in, um, and so then it's just a question of who. I think what we're going to do is we're going to chase the value. So we'll bring in Olam and Pierce Paul, try to make some cash. We're sort of at the end of that period where we want those cheap options making money in. Um, so I think if we have these guys in to make some cash, we can then start to upgrade into the Origin period, which is what we want to do. And so we do bank about 400. So essentially, we'll probably have close to having enough to get Cleary to Hutchinson back. Um, as I said, things like Bostock to May are already penciled in for that week as well. It could even be that the hammer has to come out, once he's peaked in price. So, or actually, what if we reverse? So, I guess we can put, say, a salmon back in and bring in Kai Pierce Paul. Gives us 576, which is a lot of money sitting on the pine. But I guess we could also start to make plans for bringing in some guns. All right, bit of technical difficulty there, but essentially the trades did go through. So just to recap, the trades. So Talangi to Tuapiki was a straight swap, and then Cleary out, which I know I've advocated against, but we're going to try and chase a bit of cash with Kai Pierce Paul coming in. We're not using the boost, so that's disappeared. So the sort of setup for this week is Harry Grant in, obviously. Um, so again, Roosters play early. Penrith play a bit later, so we might just relegate Henry to the bench for the time being. So kick out, Pierce Paul play early in the week, and Curran kick out Pierce Paul. Smithies, Ben Travojevic maybe on the bench, so not sure on the bench just yet. Probably Lusick will feature on the bench, I think it's fair to say, alongside Smithies. So now we've got a halfback. We'll swap him in this week. Dylan Brown, obviously, with no Galvin. Pappenhausen this week, so probably going to keep the VC on Tedesco. Um, which is all good. Um, so how many we've got? Three reserves, so we just need one more. Um, so Bostock against the Tigers, Talangi against the Raiders, all strange. Um, don't know. How did Ethan Strange go in Canberra? GIO 61 against the Tigers. Um, so yes, I've got those three for sure. Fourth one, or even Ben Travojevic could come into the mix against Penrith. Mm. Well, so I guess let's work out our captain and then we can work out our structure around that. So if we're VCing Tedesco, we probably want someone who's playing Saturday or later just to make it easy for the loophole. We don't really have it, that's the problem. Alright, what if we go Harry Grant into Tedesco? Yeah, because unless we want to back Dylan Brown, hasn't been in the best form. Yeah, definitely, not super keen on any of the centre wing options as captain. So that's fine. Let's do that. So okay, so basically we can switch around at any point. So I guess we just go off averages. Go with Talangi on field. Oh, actually, Bostock can go on field because Talangi plays in the last game. And and I guess that way, what could happen? Actually, I'll swap them around because what could happen is if we go with VC on Grant, we'll just swap Hines in. Hutchinson will take that last reserve spot off of Bostock. Yeah. Cool. So there's the team for this week. After all that, yeah. So if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, actually before we do all that, I just remembered I've got to check the draft league. Yep. So oh, that's the other league. Sorry, wrong league. So I did need a replacement. I did get Tamara Martin um, on the waivers, which was good. Also got Jaden Brayley in for Phoenix Crossland, so I've got some hooker coverage. So Caesar will cover the 5'8" spot once Cleary's back, which is fine. Um, yeah, and I guess with the flex we can do a bit of Pappenhausen into Tedesco this week. VCNC. Any other changes? Probably not. So a few people on the bench, but there's not too much in terms of waivers. So if we just have a look at any other transactions this week. So Liam's been on there early this morning getting Montoya in for Phil Sammy. So it might not be the worst one to grab off the waivers or free agency. I'm not sure how long he's out for, but pretty solid centre wing option. So gamble for foreign on waivers. I probably would have gone for Tamara Martin, but obviously glad they did. Liam Henry for Matt in the Carlton draft, so that's nice. Justin Olam was on waivers, didn't realise that, but yep, swap him out for Khan Pereira. Getting in Piakura early, nice move there as well, Matt. So definitely some interesting moves, and getting Jairo in early as well with the injury. So not bad there, particularly from Matt. And I've actually got Liam this week, so bringing in Montoya. So have a look at the fixture. That just shows that. That's not interesting. Yeah, all right, just wanted to check on that. So that's all good. All right, we'll wrap the video up now. So as always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Um, like and subscribe for all the upcoming videos and that sort of thing. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.